congressional candidate. Please welcome him.
Thank you, thank you. Are we ready to take the country back from the tax suspenders? Yeah. And make America great again and prosperous, right? Yeah. It sounds like to me we're ready to send a couple people's pink slips next week. Zach Space and Nancy Pelosi, right? Yeah. You know, the problem in this country, this country was founded on really an idea. An idea, if individuals have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, economic freedom, and political freedom, an individual can excel to the best of their abilities if they work hard, and that's what this country, that's what the American dream is all about. Before I get going too far, I got to introduce a couple of people. I'll introduce my wife over there, the 5-year sweatshirt on. And then I never want to forget to introduce Wayne. Wayne is here representing the Democrats and Zach Space. They always come to tape me and track me and see what I have to say. Zach won't show up if he's something personal. Empty space, that's right. That's right. Well, a lot of things have been said today. I'm going to be a little quick here because it's getting late. But the real root of the problem is we've got to get people back to work. We've got to get this economy going, because when people don't have financial security, guess what happens? That's the erosion of our freedoms, because we have bigger and bigger government, higher taxes, higher costs, and less freedom. So we got to get this economy going. Now, the root of the problem is massive deficit spending. When Zach Space took office in January 2007, and Nancy Pelosi became Speaker, the national debt was $8 trillion. Now it's over $13 trillion. Think about that. And more people are in poverty, and more people are unemployed than ever. And that's what they've done in 4 years. And we need to turn that around. And how we turn that around is we get people back working, we restore the confidence. How we restore confidence, we have to cut the deficit spending. Number one, we have to roll back the massive tax increases that Zach Space and Nancy Pelosi have supported, and we have to have common sense regulations. And businesses, the private sector, employers will have confidence to invest in their businesses, to hire people back, and give us that financial security and make this country great again. Now, what we have to do to get that done is meet the specifics. But what I absolutely have to do is cut that deficit spending. It's a national security issue. Think about it. We're borrowing money from the Chinese. I used to call them the red Chinese, but I guess they're the Chinese now. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think we should borrow from the Chinese. But the second reason it's a national security issue is when you rack up annual deficits of $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion a year and this debt, that means the revenues that come into the federal government, more of it has to go to service the debt, to pay the Chinese interest and everybody else. That means there's less discretionary spending. And guess what? When you think about it, defense is discretionary spending. If we have to have a program, and if we don't have the money to do it, we can't print the money anymore, can't borrow the money anymore, it might not happen. And to put that in perspective, how did the Cold War end, and how did the Soviet Union fall apart? We didn't fire a shot, we bankrupted them. And we're bankrupting ourselves, and that's the path we're on, and that's why we have to turn that around. This is a national security issue, it's a freedom issue, and quality of life, and we're mortgaging the future of our kids and their kids, and it's immoral, and we risk, for the first time in American history, to pass on to the next generation a lower standard of living and quality of life than the previous generation. That's never happened in American history, and that's where we're at. That's why the election nationally is so important, and we have to turn this around when the 11th hour. If we don't get turned around, at best, we're going to pass on to our kids a lower standard of living. That's at best. My fear is we don't pass them on a free country or a country. And if the United States goes down economically, goes down, there's no other place to go in the world. So that's why we have to get this economy going, get people back to work, and that will restore our constitutional freedoms and our rights and protect them for generations to come. We absolutely have to do it. And, we talk a little bit sometimes about prosperity. We have to create prosperity because that creates jobs and opportunities. Well, there's really 3 ways you create prosperity. One is you mine it, develop our natural resources, mine it or drill for it. Of course, that would solve another problem. Right? Number 2, raise or grow it in agriculture. Number 3, and make it manufactured. Now you think about it. Everything that this Congress and this administration in Washington is doing is putting up barriers or hurdles against what I call the risk takers that are going out and trying to do that to create jobs, create prosperity, and create opportunities. Higher taxes, burdensome regulations, higher energy costs and the cap and trade nonsense. Obamacare now that's going to bankrupt the country if we let it happen. And all that uncertainty is creating problems. And everybody's kind of sitting on their hands. They don't want to risk capital, and I don't blame them, because things can get a lot worse when you have a deficit spending and debt that's going to exceed the gross domestic product in just a few short years at this rate. So we're in trouble, and we got to turn it around. And that's why I'm glad to see the entities like the Tea Party and Americans are waking up. And we're going to take back this country come this Tuesday. It's Independence Day, right? And Nancy Pelosi and Zach Space are going to be heading home. So my commitment to you is I'm going to work every day as hard as I can to work to cut the deficit spending, roll back the tax increases, and get regulations that make sense, that doesn't burden our businesses and make them so they can't compete in this global marketplace. Now, you've heard a lot of bad things said on TV. There's a lot of things going on. I've been, Zach Space blasted me for a lot of things. And most of the things he's blasted me for is not true, so don't believe all the rhetoric. And we proved that last summer when the first ad he ran against me. We filed a complaint with the Ohio Election Commission, and on August 19th, the Ohio Election Commission ruled unanimously, it's a bipartisan commission, unanimously, that Zach Space had reckless disregard for the truth. Imagine that. You know, I know he's come back out in the district and tells you that he would never vote for cap and trade, and he goes back and votes for cap and trade. Well, I signed a pledge. I will not vote for cap and trade. I will repeal Obamacare, and I will not raise taxes. That's my pledge. Oh! So, glad to be here tonight. To all your friends, relatives, to get out and vote, because victory's at hand, and we're going to turn this country around. The real work starts, and that's when I'm going to need your help come January. Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Bob Gibbs.